The story opens in the year 2021, in the turbulent and war-torn land of Afghanistan. The dusty evening air is thick with tension as we see a man named Malik stepping out from a hotel, heading toward his home. His presence alone feels dangerous, his eyes cold, his face carved with fury. He doesn't walk, he prowls like a predator returning to its den. He reaches the back of his property, where the true horror is revealed. Behind the tall, rusted gates, several cages stand side by side, each one containing terrified people, dirty, injured, and hopeless. Their frightened eyes peer out between the metal bars, silently pleading for mercy. Beside these cages, a pack of half-starved dogs paces restlessly. Their ribs jut out, their teeth bared as they growl at the helpless captives. Malik turns to one of his men standing nearby, his voice sharp and commanding. "Bring them out." The henchman obeys, unlocking the cages one by one. Among the prisoners are 4 young men and 1 woman. That woman's face is bruised, her lips dry from thirst, but her gaze still carries a spark of defiance. Malik, without a trace of compassion, drags her to the crowded marketplace. There, under the scorching sun, he throws her to the ground and shouts to the people around, "Stone her! She must die!" The crowd, fueled by fear and blind obedience, begins hurling stones at her. Each impact draws blood. The woman grits her teeth, refusing to cry out, until the sound of roaring blades cuts through the chaos. Military helicopters descend from above like metallic beasts. Soldiers inside open fire on Malik's men. Bullets tear through the ground and walls, forcing the crowd to scatter in panic. One of the helicopters hovers directly above the woman. The soldiers recognize her. It's Jake, one of their own. They pull her up and into the chopper. But Malik isn't one to back down. Grabbing an RPG launcher, he fires at one of the helicopters, hitting it squarely. The explosion lights up the sky. Another pilot, seeing the danger, quickly pulls away, taking Jake with them. The rest of the army pulls back as well, leaving the ground in chaos. Inside the helicopter, Jake shouts at the pilot, "Stop! My team is still down there." But the pilot shakes his head. They're gone. Jake peers over the edge, and her heart shatters. The rest of her team lies dead on the ground below. She screams, her grief echoing over the roar of the helicopter. The scene shifts to a girls' school in Afghanistan. It's midday, and the students are in the courtyard, laughing and chatting during lunch break. The lighthearted atmosphere is shattered when a convoy of trucks and SUVs crashes through the school gates. Armed men pour out, led by a ruthless man named Amir. Without hesitation, Amir's men begin forcing teachers and students into the vehicles at gunpoint. Panic spreads, girls scream. Teachers try to shield them, but they are overpowered. Some girls manage to run to the rooftop, desperately looking for a way to escape. Amir walks through the chaos, calling out a single name over and over. "Where is Durrani's daughter?" No one answers. A terrified teacher finally speaks. "She's not here today." Amir doesn't hesitate. He raises his gun and shoots the teacher dead in front of everyone. Then he searches the school himself and eventually finds the girl he's looking for. The other girls captured with her are dragged to the rooftop, where Amir coldly orders his men, throw them off. Before leaving, Amir records a video, his face filling the camera. "We have captured the girl. Let the world know." The girls are locked in a dark, windowless room. Whispers break out in the corner. One girl mutters bitterly, "We're in this mess because of her." She explains that the girl Amir wanted is actually a captain in the army, which is why the soldiers came for her earlier. Back at base, Jake has recovered from her injuries and is called into a meeting with her superiors. She tries to explain the urgency of rescuing the kidnapped girls, but the officer dismisses her. "We'll talk on Monday. It's the weekend now." Jake clenches her fists in frustration, but she can't force them to act. Instead, she takes her anger to the boxing gym. That's when she meets Travis, a man with a calm but capable demeanor. She shows him photos of Amir and the kidnapped girls. Travis doesn't hesitate, he offers to help. He even arranges a forged passport so Jake can travel to the area where the girls are being held. At the airport, a man arrives to pick her up. His overly friendly behavior puts Jake on edge, but she plays along. He drops her off at a small hotel. Inside, a young woman escorts her to her room, where a few other people are gathered, including a man named Dr. Mike. Introductions are made, and Jake wastes no time. She begins reaching out to her contacts, searching for leads. Later, she meets Travis again. As they talk, a woman approaches Jake in desperation. "My daughter, she's one of the girls they took. Bring her back to me, and I'll pay you whatever you want. Jake accepts, determined. Their next step is to cross the border. The official crossing is closed, so they must wait. The truck they're using is loaded with medical supplies, which they hope will allow them to pass without suspicion. When the border soldiers inspect the cargo, they wave them through. Meanwhile, Malik gives one of the captive girls an offer. Deliver a letter to the police station, and he'll let her go free. Desperate for freedom, the girl agrees. Jake and her team finally reach their hotel on the other side. She puts on a burqa and goes to meet a local woman she knows, asking for information on Malik's hideouts. While Jake is gathering intel, Travis heads to a location where some girls were believed to be held. But before he can arrive, the place is destroyed in an explosion. Furious, he returns to report back. The girl Malik sent to the police station arrives, clutching the letter. As soon as she enters, the man who brought her runs off. Seconds later, the car she came in explodes, killing several officers. That night, another building is bombed. The army rushes to the scene, sirens wailing. Jake and her team sees the chaos as an opportunity. They move in, killing enemy fighters and looting weapons. They load their vehicles with guns and ammunition, but as they try to escape, army reinforcements arrive. Jake orders her driver to push forward, using explosives to blow up enemy vehicles blocking their way. During the chase, one of Jake's teammates is shot and falls from the vehicle. Jake refuses to leave him behind. She orders the driver to turn back, grabs her comrade, and hauls him inside. They barely make it out alive. But Travis is mortally wounded. As Jake kneels beside him, he presses a small piece of paper into her hand. It's a phone number. Jake later has the number traced, hoping it will lead them to the captives. She buries Travis with quiet grief, joined by the same woman who had offered her money earlier. The woman hands over the promised funds and urges Jake not to give up. The tension is building. Malik, always scheming, is now targeting another young girl among his captives. His voice turns deceptively gentle as he makes his offer. If you obey me, I'll set you free. This is how Malik operates, not just with brute force, but with manipulation. Meanwhile, Jake receives a surprise visit from an old friend. The woman greets her warmly, introducing herself to the rest of the team. At first, she seems like an ally, bringing valuable information about the terrorists' plans. Through her, Jake learns that a man has just been released from prison, someone with critical links to the enemy. Jake and her team know they must get him at any cost. They set traps along the routes the army will take, hoping to intercept him. The ambush. The air is thick with dust and the rumble of approaching vehicles. Jake's team waits in silence, every eye locked on the horizon. Then, the enemy convoy appears. Gunfire erupts. Bullets cut through the air, tearing into metal and flesh. One of Jake's drivers is killed instantly. Another teammate is severely wounded, her blood staining the dirt. They manage to corner the released prisoner, but the firefight costs them dearly. Several comrades are lost. The surviving team members regroup, exhausted and shaken. Jake sits alone for a moment, her head in her hands. The weight of the mission, the faces of the dead, press heavily on her. But the image of the kidnapped girls keeps her from breaking. A cruel betrayal. Then, the worst blow yet. Jake watches in horror as one of her captured teammates is paraded in a live-streamed video. Bound and kneeling, the young woman stares straight into the camera before an enemy soldier takes a blade to her throat. Jake screams, her voice cracking with grief and rage. She vows to make them pay. The truth comes soon after. Her old friend, the woman who had been helping them, is a traitor. She had been feeding their plans directly to Malik's army. When Jake confronts her, there's no hesitation. With cold fury, Jake ends her life right there. The betrayal cuts deep, but there's no time to dwell on it. Tracking Malik, the elderly man recently freed from prison, the one Jake's team had been targeting, is taken by the traitorous woman before her death. Now Malik has him. From a distance, Jake watches as Malik arrives to collect the man. She grips her phone tightly, checking the small tracker she planted earlier. Malik's location blinks on the screen. It's time. Jake and her team move through hidden paths, using local knowledge to bypass enemy checkpoints. At last, they reach one of Malik's main compounds. The infiltration. Jake slips into disguise, donning a burqa to blend in with the working women inside. She moves quietly, carrying supplies, cleaning, pretending to belong. All the while, her sharp eyes scan the surroundings, memorizing guard positions, locked doors, and surveillance cameras. She slips away to a service elevator and descends deep underground. The air here is damp, stale. In the dim light, she sees them, the kidnapped girls, cramped together in a makeshift cell. Jake's chest tightens, but she doesn't lose focus. She quickly sends their coordinates to her team outside. Malik's wedding scheme. Back upstairs, Malik makes a shocking announcement. He tells one of the girls that if she marries him, he will free the others, silencing him before he can raise an alarm. The rescue and explosions. Jake's teammates arrive inside the compound. They work fast, planting explosives throughout the structure. But their presence is noticed. Malik's men grow suspicious. In a tense standoff, Malik orders all the burqa-wearing women to line up. One by one, he demands they reveal their faces. When one woman refuses, a guard steps forward and rips away the veil, revealing one of Jake's operatives. In her hand is a detonator. She presses the button. The explosions ripple through the compound, shaking the ground. Smoke and fire consume the corridors as panic spreads among Malik's men. Jake versus Malik. In the chaos, Jake leads the girls upward toward safety. But Malik intercepts her. The two lock eyes. No words are spoken, just pure hatred. Then they charge. It's a brutal, close-quarters fight. Malik is strong, but Jake is faster, fueled by fury and loss. Blows land hard, knives flash, blood spills. Finally, with a decisive strike, Jake ends Malik's reign of terror. The final stand. Elsewhere, Jake's remaining teammates hold the line, fighting off waves of enemies to protect the escaping girls. One by one, they fall, but none surrender. Their courage is unshakable. The surviving girls are handed over to Jake's army allies, who load them into helicopters bound for safety. Jake stands at the edge of the landing zone, watching the aircraft rise into the sky. She doesn't step forward to board. The driver beside her asks, "Aren't you coming?" Jake shakes her head. "There are more out there. I'm not done." Her gaze hardens as the helicopters disappear over the horizon. She turns back toward the distant mountains, already thinking of the next mission. And with that, the story ends. Not with peace, but with the promise of another rescue, another fight, and another chance to bring the innocent home.